This is alcohol ink, and I'm just going to show you quickly how it's considered to be a grade 1 level achievement craft. That really means that you can achieve quite good results very quickly without spending weeks and months of practice. It doesn't mean you can't get better, it just means that you can see something quite quickly. So this is the applicator. It's basically a little block of wood, and these are some old wooden knobs from an upcycle with a little bit of velcro on that holds a pad made from generally felt, wool based felt. You put that on, and what you use is an alcohol blending solution. This in effect breaks up the alcohol and allows the ink to spread. So I'm just going to put a little bit on there, and I'm going to spread it over this piece of acetate, which might be a bit difficult to see. It's a piece of recycled acetate. All of these pieces that I use are recycled from office supplies, where, as you can see, they're perforated and they have been the front of some sort of presentation. So that's why I'm using this. Everything within reason is recycled. So you spread the blending solution across the acetate. You can't see it, but trust me, you can smell it. So if you are sensitive to the smell, I'd suggest doing it in a really well ventilated area. I mean, this isn't too bad, but if you're very sensitive to it, then you drop some of the colours onto the acetate. And because the blending solution's broken up surface tension, they'll start to spread. So and if you give it a little bit of time, you see them, they gravitate towards each other quite well. And you can just leave them to do this. There are lots of different methods of using alcohol ink. I'm not going to say there is a perfect one or a right one. There's the one that makes you happy. And then I'm just going to throw a bit more of this in, which is very pretty, but it doesn't really look like much at the moment. And I think a bit of green. Yeah. Now, you can use the applicator and you can start to dab at the colours, and you can move them around. This thins out the colour and makes it brighter. If you leave it untouched, it does remain quite dark, and that kind of spoils the effect. But again, it's entirely up to you. So you start to break it up with the applicator. If there are areas that are so dark, you drop some of the blending solution in, and it starts to break up the tension, and you can see it forcing the ink outwards. It is such a beautiful and quite easy method of using colour. Now, I like to make it thin and colourful and spread it outwards. You can also use the alcohol solution on your little spreader, and that will start to break it up, so you're in effect dropping it right into the ink. And breaking it up into cells. Now sometimes that can make it blurry, and that's a fuzzier effect. I quite like the dry effect. So all you do is you take the wet one out and you put a new one in. so. And then you start again. So you sort of dry up some of the blending solution and spread it outwards. And then of course, if it starts to get a little bit too pale, you drop some colour in and see what happens. It is a very free, very random way of producing art, which is great if you really struggle with the confines of drawing or painting and you find it all a little bit complicated and long-winded. This gives you very quick, very easy results, and you can keep working at it and keep testing it, and it just gets prettier and prettier. Now this can be used on acetate, and it can be used as an insert for the front of greetings cards. It can be used for all kinds of things. Again, there isn't any right way, there's just your way, and that's kind of why I like it. But it can be used on anything that is shiny. It doesn't do well on fabrics, for example. It doesn't do well on dull, flat surfaces, but it does do well on anything that is slippery and shiny where it can move around. So one of the best things you can use it on is glass, where it does make some absolutely incredible glass colours. Now I'll move this one off. Oh, as you can see, it does get on your hands. Can I suggest that if you are concerned about it staining your hands, you wear gloves. I do have some, honestly. There you go. I'm just useless for remembering to put them on. And it does wash off eventually. It just, yeah, you do have blue hands for a while, but right. One of the things that I do to practice is I buy little cheap glass ornaments. Now this is a little tea light, and they're probably £1, £1.50, something like that, from local chain stores, places like Wilkinson's. And they're lovely with a little tea light in, but they're very plain. So what I did was I bought them and I inked them. It's exactly the same process. You use the blending solution, you wipe it over, and then you start to pat. And you can put on as much as you like, but as you can see, it does become really pretty. I'll bring it a little closer. I'll get my big fingers out of the way. You can see just how pretty it becomes. And that makes a lovely gift with a little tea light in there for someone. And that essentially is alcohol ink. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you've learnt something. And if you're interested in learning more, just drop me a message. Thank you.